Okay, take three. So, about a month-ish ago, maybe longer depending on when I finish edit and publishing this, I posted a survey of Vampires SMP to Tumblr because I am curious and I love knowing information about things. Um, this is the video where I post and talk about the questions and the responses. So that's what I'm gonna do now.
Little editor's note, there's a little weird crackling going on with my voice and the audio. I'm not sure why that is. Just ignore it. And yeah, here's the video.
The first question is, whose POVs do you watch? So out of all of the creators, which ones do you watch? Because I think there's very few people who have watched all of them. The most watched is Scott with 109. Second place goes to Owen, and third place is Avid, I think. Yeah, I Owen and Scott, I was pretty much like I thought that was what was gonna happen. Avid, I was actually surprised by how much people watched him. But then in the last three places is Sausage, and above Sausage is Ren, and above Ren is Drift. Yeah, there's the numbers and the percentages if you want. Out of 145 people, 145 people answered this question. Um, the it seems like it follows pretty much what I thought, where the creators who I knew before this have a greater following than that's actually not true, huh? Because yeah, Ren and Sausage have less than Drift, and I think they're pretty well established creators before Vampire SMP. Where all of the creators are well established before Vampire SMP, but personally, I had not heard of Drift, Avid, or Legs or Abolish before this, but it seems like it's pretty widespread in whose POVs are watched. Um, like it feels pretty even among creators I knew and creators I didn't know. The next question is, whose was the first POV you watched? So out of all of the creators, which one was the one that got you into Vampire SMP, as in the person who you clicked on to watch the first ever Vampire SMP video you had seen? For me, it was Scott, and for most people, it seems it was also Scott with 66% of the votes. With then in second place being Pearl, third place being Owen, and fourth being Cleo and Martin tied. Um, if I remember correctly, I don't think anyone started with Pyro or Drift. Whereas out of the people who were watched, Ren, Lagundo, Sausage were watched the least. Here is the value for Apo, um, Abolish, and Avid, and Shelby. I was curious, out of all of the creators, who was the one who got most people to watch Vampire SMP, or whose video did most people watch first? But yeah, this received 144 out of 145 responses. The next question is, who did you know before Vampire SMP? So, which creators were you aware of before the series started? I know some of these values got cut out, so I'll read them all. Abolish has 17 votes out of 144, which is 11.8%. Apo has 63, which is 43.8%. Avid has 31, which is 21.5%. Cleo has 134, which is 93.1%. Drift has 22, which is 15.3%. Pearl has 135, which is 93.8%. Pyro has 28, which is 19.4%. Lagundo is 20, which is 13.9%. Sausage is 120, which is 83.3%. Martin is 136, which is 94.4%. Ren is 130, which is 90%. Scott is 141, which is 97.9%. Shelby is 124, which is 86.1%. And Owen is 99, which is 68.8%. This basically follows the same trend of people who I knew, with the exception of Pyro, I was aware of with the exception of Pyro, I wasn't aware of Lagundo, the other people that most people don't seem to be weren't aware of before Vampire SMP. This question, I was curious, out of all the creators, who was the most known out of before Vampire SMP, and that seems to be Scott, followed by Martin, and Martin is followed by Pearl, with Cleo in close second. This also received 144 out of 145 responses. The next question, whose side are you on, or which side are you on? With the majority results being vampires with 47 out of 145. Second most popular being both with 34 to 5. And then finally town with 18. Then individually, out of like the individual people, it seems Abolish got the most with 18. Appa with 6. Clear with also 6. And Owen with 4. Whereas other also got 12. Out of single people, I think no one was solely on Pyro side, Drift side, Avid side, Martin side, Ren side. Honestly, a few people were not on, like, did not have people on their side, but more on the side of town as a whole, I think. The other results I would like to shout out are all of them should die, as many as possible should meet tragic ends, the side where most people survive or will give the most great narrative for the story. All of them should be friends. Everyone should get along, but realistically, this person hates the humans. Whatever is most interesting. Angst. They're all sick in the head. Maximum trauma. The side that makes you cry the most. The side of a good story, like a tragedy. And the chickens in the pit, which is personally shout out to the chickens in the pit, because that's my favorite answer. And we should all be on the side of the chickens in the pit. 145 out of 145 responses. This next question is, has your side changed based on who you're watching? Like, I know that if say you were watching like mainly Avid, maybe you started off against vampires because Avid's whole thing was against vampires, but then when he became one, he was fully in support of vampires. So maybe you switched over to also liking vampires. Most people said no, but there were a few people who did say yes, which I think is very fun. And I would I want to see the correlation of who the people like switched over, who were you guys watching that made you switch to vampire side, like that. I think that's fun. This received 142 out of 145 responses. The next question is, which SMPs have you heard of before Vampire SMP? 15 people said none, 46 said Pirates, 62 said Outsiders SMP, 76 says Cowboys SMP, 124 said Rastards SMP. Outsiders SMP I know is not a Power Creations SMP, however, it is in my heart, so that is why I included it with the Power Creations SMP. This question was specifically which Power Creations SMP did you know of before Vampire SMP, because I thought that was very fun to see which Power Creations SMP was the most popular, and if all of the Vampires watchers were Power Creations watchers. The results for Rat SMP gets cut off, but it's 124. Rat SMP being the most popular out of all the previous Power Creations SMP. However, Pirates I did add a bit later than all the other ones because I completely forgot about it because it was one that I just had not seen, which is on me. So that also might have tampered with the results as it was added later than when like the majority of people answered the question. This received 144 responses out of 145. This question is, which other Power Creations have you heard of or started watching because of Vampire SMP? This only received 11 out of 145 responses. This question was added later than when a majority of people took the survey because it was suggested by someone in the comment area that I left, and I added it. So that's why there's a lot less results. But out of the 11 people, 6 said they had not started watching anything because of Vampire SMP. 3 said they had started watching Rats SMP, and 2 said they started watching Cowboys SMP. 0 said Outsiders SMP, and 0 said Pirates SMP. The next question is, which other non-Power Creations SMP have you heard of before? These are all SMPs that other members of Vampire SMP have been in. I did want to include Dream SMP because I really wanted to see the crossover, but I did not feel like I could. So I did not. This question, most people were aware of Life Series, which includes like a decent chunk of Vampire SMP members. Misadventures SMP, which also includes a decent chunk of members. Few people were aware of Skyblock Kingdoms, which includes Avid Laguno, now includes Drift, Scott, and Shelby, as well as Cam, who was not in Vampire SMP, but 139 people were aware of Hermitcraft. I fully expected everyone to be aware of Hermitcraft, but that's surprising. 132 were aware of Empires, which also included like Scott, Shelby, Pearl,
Sausage.
Caboodle SMP, which Pyro is in, 33% of people, and White Pine, which also has Pyro, 44%, 44 people, not 44%. This received 144 responses out of 145. This question is, which other non-POW creations SMP have you heard of or started watching because of or after SMP? Paralleling the POW creations question from earlier. This has only had 4 responses. 2 people said Life Series, 1 person said Skyblock Kingdoms, 1 person said Hermitcraft, and 1 person said White Prime. But I know in the comments, someone else said that they started watching Skyblock Kingdoms because of Vampire SMP. So I'm going to actually say it's 2 people for Skyblock Kingdoms. This next question is, what is your favorite episode so far? You can, and then I said you could come back and edit this after 7 and 8 have come out because I posted this before episode 7 had come out. I don't think a lot of people came back to edit the response, so I do think 7 and 8 would be more popular if I posted this after and people had responded to this after 7 and 8 had come out. But out of the data I have in front of me, the most popular is episode 6 and episode 5 tied, followed by episode 4 and episode 3, with the least votes going to episode 7, episode 8, episode 1, and episode 2. That I do think 7 and 8 would be more popular if this survey was posted later or people had come back and edited. But no harm, no foul. This question received 136 out of 145 responses. This next question was Yaoi or Yuri. Very simple, straightforward. I did add the both option because a lot of people said you should add a both option. So there might be less votes for both because I only added that after I added the survey. With the most responses going to Yaoi, 39 going to Yuri, and 15 going to both. I think the answer is pretty straightforward why I asked this question. I don't think I need to explain. This next question is, do you ship? Because personally, the way I engage in fandom is I don't really ship until freaking Avis Scott, those freaks, got me to actually care about a ship. What this fandom has done to me has irreparably changed my brain chemistry. 20.6% of people, which is 29 people, said no, they don't ship. 112 people said they do ship, which is 79.4%. This received 141 out of 145 responses. This next question is, which is your favorite ship? I want you to take a guess. You're looking at the answers, I want you to take a guess who won this. You're looking at the answers, but close your eyes and tell me the answer in the comments. I guess. And I'll know if you cheated. The answer is Bloodletting. Bloodletting won with 40 votes, which is 28.6% of the votes, with Avis Scott being close second. As you can see, the rest of the results, this being Bloodletting, Avis Scott, Lagundo and Owen, Scott and Avid, Owen and Lewis, Pyro and Abolish, NA, meaning they don't chip at all, Scott and Owen, Pyro and Scott, Cherry and Apo, Cleo and Pearl, and Pyro X, Scott X, Avid. Then the ones who are too small to be shown on this chart, graph, pie chart, is, let me find it. Zombiewood, which is Martin and Cleo, Mythical Treebark, which is Sausage, Ren, and Martin. Platonic Apple Tree, which is Platonic Apo X Martin. One for Shelby and Avid, one for Cleo and Drift, one for Cleo and Pearl, one for Legs and Scott, one for Pyro and Avid. And then 2 for Pyro and Avid being obsessed with Scott, and 1 for Scott being aromantic and people being obsessed with him. Crossfangs, which is Pyro and Scott and Abolish, and Ovid, which is Owen and Avid. Again, that might have been a little bit janky. I apologize for that. Take what you can get, That question received 106 out of 145 responses. The next question I also think is pretty self-explanatory. I don't know why anyone questioned this. Are you queer? With most 127 people saying yes, 9 saying not sure, 4 saying no, and 3 saying prefer not to say. This received 143 out of 145 responses. I don't think I need to explain why I included that question or why the result is the way that it is. Now onto, I think that was the last question. That was the last question of this survey. So now onto the nice things people have said. Now onto the nice comments people left. I'm probably not going to read through all the comments, but I'm going to pick out a few of my favorite ones and read them out loud because I am biased. But I really do appreciate everyone who left a comment and everyone who took the survey because genuinely was not expecting 145 people to take it at all. Like I thought I would get like 3 people maybe, but yeah, this is really nice. So some of my favorite comments, I would like to take this moment to say, full-time drumroll, V-legs, roaring applause. I agree. I do agree, in fact. This person says you are very cool, and I'm not biased at all, but I really, really do. I am. You're right. I'm not biased for including that in this response. I haven't been this obsessed with Minecraft men since my Dream SMP phase in middle school, except I have college to deal with this time. I'm back in the building. Me too. Me too. I think the overlap of Dream SMP and Vampire SMP fans needs to be studied, but unfortunately I am not the one to study it because I was too cowardly to put it into my survey. Thank you for the cool survey. Thank you for doing the survey. Thank you to all of you who have done the survey. This person only watched Pearl from session 2 onwards, but they quite literally had no clue what happened for most of it, and I just want to say, like, the strength that took to probably not watch other people's POVs and only watch Pearl, admirable. I think that's really, really fun. Pearl's POV is mwah. I adore the fact that you were queer as a question on here, Lamau/pause. Can you confirm all Vampires fans are queer nerds? What can I say? I had to add it. Just self-explanatory, really. Kristen says you are gay. Yeah, correct. Yeah. I'm so very sane. They make me ill. Both are true sentences that have been said, and they are both true. There's a lot of comments, and I really, really appreciate all of them, and I have read all of them, and I like they're so wonderful. But I do not have the voice nor the willpower to read through all of them right now. So thank you all for doing the survey. Thanks to everyone for watching. Thank you all for doing the survey. If you like this and maybe want to see more content of mine, subscribe and like the video.